This is Gloomy Sunday, and once again, I will be sharing spooky stories that will send shivers down your thorny spine. Without further ado, let's begin tonight's creepy, spooky, and sometimes outlandish array of tales. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before I tell the story, let me explain my family and home. There is a total of 6 people in my family, 4 kids, all pretty girls, and my parents. My siblings at that time were about 5 to 8 years old. I was the oldest of my sisters. Our house had only 3 rooms. My sisters and I shared a room. My name is Aninka, Blasilda is the second sister, Celestia is the third sister, and Desdemona is 4th sister. Back in June 1998, my family and I welcomed my grandma to our home. She was living with my dad's older brother. Since they were moving to Russia, my grandma wanted to come live with us. We were so happy to have her come live with us. Luckily, we got to spend time with her since we were off for summer break. As the days went by, we started to notice that grandma was different. She wasn't the happy, smiling person she once was. During the day, she was always sleeping in her room, but when night came, she was a completely different person. At first, we kids didn't think much of it until one night my parents left for a funeral. Someone died and they left to go stay with the family. Blasilda, Desdemona, and I were in the living room watching TV while Celestia was taking a shower. All our rooms, including the bathroom, were in one hallway. As we were watching TV, we heard Celestia hysterically scream out of the bathroom. She jumped on me, which caused both Blasilda and Desdemona to jump over to us as well. She kept crying and pointing to the hallway saying, "Grandma is a monster!" I told her it was nonsense and not to speak ill of Grandma. As I was trying to calm all of them, I saw Grandma poking her head out and giggling like a little kid. Grandma slowly walked out of the hallway, still giggling. She slowly walked to the kitchen. My siblings and I slowly got up to see what she was doing. She was dancing with her back towards us. I called out to her, "Grandma, Grandma, what are you doing?" She slightly turned her head toward us with a sinister grin and said in the most chilling voice, "Run!" We all ran, and I was the last one to get in the room. I turned to see Grandma was on all 4s running towards us. I slammed the door shut. What sucks even more was that our rooms don't have locks. We all used as much strength as we had to block the door. Grandma kept banging the door for us to open for her. Each time she tried to push her way in, we pushed back even more. For some reason, she was so strong. She was able to get one arm inside and grabbed hold of my sister Celestia's shirt. We all screamed for our grandma to stop because she was scaring us. As we were screaming, we all heard my dad scream,
"Mom, why are you doing this to your grandkids?"
Grandma stopped what she was doing and laughed that she was just playing with us since it had been so long since she last played with us. As our parents came in, we all cried to them that Grandma was very scary. That night we all slept in my parents' room. As morning came, Grandma was sleeping in her room. My and sisters I were outside playing. I went inside to get water when I overheard my parents on the phone with my uncle, my dad's older brother. My parents found out that Grandma had been doing the same thing to my uncle's family. The only difference was that while Grandma was still living with them, she would only walk around the house crying like a cat. That very same day, my dad went out to get doorknobs with locks for our room and their room. As night approached, my parents were leaving again for the funeral. I begged for one of them to at least stay with us. My dad went and grabbed the phone from the living for me to hold on to it, just in case anything happened. Before we went to bed, my dad told me no matter what we heard that night, don't open the door. They promised they'd be back soon. Me and my sisters pushed our 2 twin beds together. Scared, I couldn't sleep, so I decided to stay up to keep watch. Just as I was dozing off, I heard my grandma calling out to me,
"Sweetie, sweetie, open the door!"
I sat right up and listened carefully. I can hear humming from behind the door. It was Grandma humming. It was the humming she used to hum to make us sleep. The humming soon stopped with sniffles. Grandma was now crying. It pained my heart to hear her cry. As I slowly walked up to the door, I silently cried. Apart from me, I was scared and sad that I didn't know whether to open or not. As I was questioning myself, Grandma on the other side of the door said,
"Sweetie, it's me, Grandma! My sweetie, you don't love Grandma! Grandma is hungry! Don't be scared! Grandma won't be scary!"
I was going to open the door, but I remembered that Dad said never to open the door no matter what. I slowly backed away from the door. She started banging on the door and twisting the doorknob. My other 3 sisters jolted out of our bed. I jumped on the bed looking for the phone and I dialed my dad's number. He wasn't answering his phone. Panicked, my sisters and I quickly grabbed whatever we had to protect ourselves. We sat on the bed watching her constantly banging on the other side of the door. That's when the phone rang. I quickly answered and it was my dad. I cried, telling him to come up home now, that Grandma is crazy again. He told me to take my siblings and me to hide while he and Mom drove back home. I did as he said and we went to go hide in the closet. As we went into hiding, Grandma stopped banging the door. She started crying, asking for one of us to open for her. She misses us and just wants to cuddle. After a while, I heard a few voices yelling out to Grandma. Those voices were my dad's and a few older men. I heard the door unlock and my dad telling us girls to come out. We all ran out to my dad, crying hysterically. That night, my mom took us to sleep at an auntie's house while Dad and the other men stayed behind along with a shaman. The following morning, Mom took us back home. Everything seems to have gone back to normal. Grandma wasn't scary anymore, though after a week later, she passed. I never knew what happened after we left for my aunt's house. It wasn't until I got older and married that I asked my mom what truly happened. She told me Grandma was from a family that turns into tigers. During her time with us, she was slowly becoming a tiger. Due to our uncle not doing anything while she was with them and not telling us, we weren't able to save her. Mom also said Grandma was already growing a tail that was about 3 inches. I was in disbelief that something like that could still happen. Thank you for reading my story. My gosh, what horrible parents. Imagine still going to someone else's funeral while your murderous and possibly cannibalistic mother who is turning into a tiger is left with your daughters. Since you love going to funerals so much, you will probably have your very own since your 4 daughters will probably be dead by the time you get home, already eaten by your tiger mother. If that was Emmy, I will tell the family of the deceased that I have a family emergency so I won't be attending their funeral. Anyway, let's read the next story. When I was younger, in my ratchet days, my friends and I liked to go out and party with guys, trip on ecstasy, drink, and rave. It would be all fun and games. We would go out to one of the guys' houses out in the countryside and party in their barn garage type of building. I remember swallowing down a blue pill with beer, but after an hour, I didn't feel anything, so I asked for another pill and took it. I remember one of the guys rubbing Vicks all over himself, inside his pants too. I don't remember how many of us were there that night, but it got crazy. I believe a few people got possessed by something out there. In the wee hours of the morning, While I was still tripping, I came home and laid down until I realized there were white, cloudy, foamy spirits jumping all over the place. I started freaking out. I ran out into the hallway to my brother's room. Whatever it was would not leave me alone. I was in a paranoid state, seeing things for a full week. I was so scared that I didn't eat or drink, refused to be alone, and the scariest place to be was in the bathroom. Why? Because one of those days, I happened to look in the mirror and saw a drowned corpse looking back at me. I ran into my brother's room and begged my younger brother not to leave me. What was worse was that thing followed me, and I could see it pushing the door open, but my brother didn't see it. All he could see was that the door was opening it by itself. Needless to say, my friends came over, and we went to their church. Their pastor did an exorcism on me, and I don't remember a thing except when it was time to go home, they all looked scared as hell. I never knew what happened except it must have been bad. My mom finally took me to one of our shaman relatives. He's dead now, but he was the most powerful one we knew. He clipped all my nails into a pot, and my mom paid a hefty sum for a ceremony. I couldn't talk to anyone or go anywhere for a long time, and I didn't want to. Instead, I turned my life around. I finally told my mom about the drug use that led to the spiritual encounters, and she was so mad at me, but I'm glad I came clean. The years following, I couldn't go anywhere without my shaman stuffed dog or red string. I would start to see things and experience supernatural events. It never really went away until I gave myself to Jesus. When I was baptized in the river, I felt a spirit descend, and since then, the encounters stopped. When I do something bad, hurt someone, lie, cheat or steal, I start to get the heart-racing feeling again, and I know I have to repent. Sometimes I wonder if I opened up my third eye or if some spiritual thing awoke in me. All I know is that for the rest of my life, I must be good and live in the light. Yep. Doing those drugs opened the door to another realm. Letting those spirits into your aura. Alchemist created alcohol for this reason. It was to connect to spirits. So stay away from drugs, guys. It will destroy your lives and you will regret it. I hope you enjoyed our spooky and strange stories. Join us next time for more. Take care and boo-bye.